How are we doing, guys? So, match preview. Again, you guys seem to like this. Me and Joe just going through the game. Get your comments in. You think you guys are tending to like how they came from? And mate, how are you feeling going ahead into this game?
Yeah, really good. Really, really good, Oscar. Can't wait. Obviously, rivalries resumed. Our rivalry goes all the way back to 1970. In that FA Cup final, you know, there's a lot of fans that don't understand. I've seen, you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't mind Leeds. I don't get where the hate's coming." It's not just due to Lampard. Obviously, that further ignites it, but this rivalry between these two clubs goes back a very, very long time, and it's that old northern monkeys and flashy cockneys, soppy southerners. It's that kind of vibe. But mate, it's a game I'm really looking forward to. I think all the content started to come out this week. All the media stuff started to come out this week now, so it's starting to get a bit tasty, Oscar, and I cannot wait for Saturday night, 8 o'clock as well. I know it's late, but I think it'll be a good game under the lights. It's something that I'm really looking forward to, man.
And just before we kind of get into this, we should just say, guys, we did have an opposition preview planned for last night, but it's still going to go ahead. Don't worry, guys. We're going to have to pre-record this one with the Chelsea fan. Apologies. With Chelsea playing last night, we weren't able to film it at the planned time. So apologies, guys, if you were waiting for us on that one, but we will still get the video out. But
hopefully we'll manage to get him back on as well for our opposition post-match as well. We might have to move a few things around next week, obviously due to the fact that we play so late on Saturday, but we'll make sure we get as much content as out as we can for you. And of course, tomorrow we've got Before the Whistle Blows as well with the full house, so that'll be fun. And before I hand over to Oscar to kick us off properly, please smash a like on the video as per. Please do that. Smash a like, get the more people in the rooms. That's what we want. We'd love your engagement on the chat. Get more people in. We have more of that. And of course, we might even get some salty Chelsea fans in as well. And we don't mind that, do we?
Mate, I've already had a few of them on the video I did on Tuesday night.
I've seen it. I've read it.
Claim that Kurt Zuma is not slow. Now, can I just assure you, any Chelsea fans watching this, Kurt Zuma is very slow. He's very slow.
Fastest in the league, apparently, some were saying.
I don't know. Stats can be deceiving, but I don't. Maybe he needs to run 20 yards to get into full stride. I don't know. But the fact is, he doesn't look much quicker than Thiago Silva for me, and Thiago Silva's 36. So there we go, guys. There we go. But mate, I think the thing is, going into this game, look, we know it's massive, isn't it? It's massive playing these in the league. I know we played them a couple of years back under Warnock, Becchio scoring that goal for half time, etc., etc. But I don't think the younger Chelsea fans, they really don't get it, do they? How big this is.
No, I've just seen on Twitter as well, someone retweeting a post of a Chelsea fan saying, "Oh, there is no rivalry with Leeds, they're just a championship team, etc., etc." And a lot of that's due to the fact, obviously, I mean, if you haven't already, guys, friend of the channel, go over to LUFC Lewis's YouTube. He's done a brilliant, brilliant video on the rivalry between Leeds and Chelsea. And it goes all the way back to 70, that FA Cup. I mean, that FA Cup final is widely regarded as the most like brutal game in English football club history. You know, I think I was reading something. I think Michael Oliver got asked to rewatch the game and ref it from today's sort of refereeing, and he said there would have been like 11 red cards and 16 bookings, you know, so it shows you just how naughty that game was. Billy Bremner was basically 2-footed in the head at one point. So yeah, it goes all the way back, and I think a lot of it's down to that fact of Chelsea fans epitomise that flash Cockney, you know, nah, I mean, that kind of vibe. And obviously, you've got us Northerners, and you're right though, mate. Sorry, back to your original question. Not a lot of people will understand it because of the fact that we've been out of the limelight for 16 years. And during that time, let's be honest, Chelsea have won it all. You know, they've won it all during that 16 years. when Abramovich came in, and then they've won Premier League titles, FA Cups, Champions Leagues. You know, they've done it all, and that's fair play to Abramovich. If Abramovich don't come in, where are Chelsea? Who knows? But it's happened, and they've gone on to do great things. I do. I'm gutted that all the fans can't be in the ground, and it's going to be interesting to see what them 2,000 fans in the ground do, because I'm assuming, like, this is all I can think of. If I'm a Chelsea fan, God forbid, you know, go get me, you know, I asked my mother, what should I be, all that sort of jazz. But I think if I'm a Chelsea fan and this is the first game back, know that they'll be dying to get tickets for this game. Then 2,000, they'll be the lucky few. They'll be like hot tickets, golden ticket, as it were. It's going to be something about that they really want to be in the game for. What do you see the 2,000 having any sort of impact, Oscar?
Well, it's a tough to say, really. I mean, obviously, I've just watched a couple, actually, before going on air, watched a few highlights of the Championship games with the fans in the ground. And to be fair, you know what? Luton and that lot, Luton and Wickham, I think, were the two teams that have fans in the ground. Someone else might have as well. But
yeah,
you know what? For 2,000 fans, it can make quite a bit of noise, you know. 2,000 fans, noise. I think obviously there's that extra passion because it's been 260 plus days since any fans have been in the ground. I think the fact is Chelsea have been in good form as well. I think it might make a bit of a difference. I think certainly the referee as well. I think the referees, to be fair, last sort of, 6-1.
It's going to happen, so why not now, he says. I'm with John. Why not?
Yeah, why not? But you look at it and say, you know, it's 260 days since fans have been in the ground.
Yeah.
Chelsea are in good form. Mm-hmm. I just think the referees as well. I think the referees get influenced by home crowds. I think the last couple of months, you've probably seen in general, other than if you take VAR out of the equation, I think generally referees have been doing better on kind of like just general decisions, you know, fouls and all this lot. I do think it's going to play a bit of a difference, you know. I think for the first time, I think obviously you've seen all season, away teams are winning a lot of games. You know, you saw Fulham win at Leicester. I think now, because fans are in the ground, I think results will start to get a little bit more back to normal. But I still think we are better than 11th in the table, whatever we are at the minute. I think, is it 11th we are in the table at the minute?
Yeah, I mean, if we beat Arsenal, Oscar, we'd be in 6th, and it'd be a totally different conversation. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's tight, isn't it? I think just everyone's beating everyone at the minute. But I do think when fans get back in the ground, I think it will kind of lose that kind of. I think that home advantage will be back again. But yeah, let's just hope it's not on Saturday. You know, I think obviously, I still think some of our lads will rise to the occasion. You know, Alioski, I think Alioski will love that. You know, I think you mentioned on Sunday that the fact is that you can hear individuals in the crowd. You know, and that's kind of small. It's a bit like non-league almost. 100%. You know, you can hear that old fella in the ground who's always just giving it a bit of that. I think Alioski, people like that will love that. I think they'll really thrive off things like that. So, yeah, it's interesting from that sense. I think, obviously, for Chelsea's players as well, you know, if someone's having a bad game, someone's in a bit of bad form, you know, I think people like Kovacic, you know, Chelsea fans aren't 100% on Kovacic. He misplaces the pass. All of a sudden, after 6 months, 7 months of no one in the ground, you're going to hear moans and groans. And that, I think that's a bit of an adaptation for Chelsea.
Yeah. Do you think with Havertz being back, do you think Kovacic might come out and he plays with Mount and Havertz, and then Kante just behind possibly? Or do you think he still goes with Kovacic?
I still think, because I didn't even see the Chelsea game yesterday, but I gather that Havertz had a really good game.
I think Kovacic played the full 90 as well, which makes me think,
will he play?
Yeah. The fact he's played the full 90, maybe he plays
Sunday as well, to be fair. Interesting, isn't it? I think obviously, you know, I think Giroud's another person to consider. You know, I'll go through.
I just want to shout out this guy as well. I just before we do, I want to shout out this guy because he's been following us around for quite some time on different videos. He keeps popping up. Big Robble Bear, and he's a big Chelsea fan, and I've noticed him on a few videos coming in. So, Robble, you are expected to win. Okay, that's fair enough. But if you don't, make sure you're back. Make sure you're back on Saturday, my man, for the post-matches, all right? I want to see you because I know you've been in. I've been seeing your comments flying in. But stick by your guns when we beat you. Make sure you come back, my man. All right? Go on, Oscar. Sorry.
Mate, honestly, Chelsea got that many options. It's outrageous how many options Chelsea got. Obviously, you saw Giroud hit 4 last night. Can Lampard really keep Giroud out the team going into the next game? And then you suddenly say, if Giroud starts on Saturday at 34 years old, is he going to be able to press, as energetically as Abraham? So he's got a dilemma, Lampard, going into this. I think our team, of course, is a lot more fixed. Yeah. As I said, we'll look at the predicted lineups as well later on. I'll tell you what, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. I'm having a 20 quid on that.
Yeah, 20 quid on that, same, mate.
Yeah, maybe not 20. Maybe not 20. Yeah. I'm a scouser at the end of the day. I'll go 10. I'll go 10, mate.
Yeah, 10. Put a 10 on. Carefree CRC says he'll be back. I'm always there, so we'll see. We'll see if he'll be back. But let's check if Robble's back, because Robble's been in the comments for weeks looking for bites. He's got his bite. Just make sure you back Robbell.
Yeah, obviously, going into this game, mate, if you had to pick 1 or 2 main threats that you fear of Chelsea, or do you not fear Chelsea at all? Is there any individuals you're looking at in that team who makes you think, ooh, on their day, they can really hurt us? What's your general feeling on that? Obviously, there's a lot's been made of, the forward signings Lampard's made. Havertz, Ziyech, Werner, all these kind of players. And obviously, the players they already had. Giroud's obviously in as good form as he's ever been in the Premier League. Who's the main threat for you? Who's the one who you don't want to play this game? Who you want to see rotated out to an extent? We're saying Kovacic might be rotated out. Is there anyone who you think, oh, I'd love him to not be playing this game?
Mendy, the goalkeeper.
Oh, mate, if Kepa's in there,
that'd be nice.
Them odds will come down to evens.
Yeah.
1, mate, honestly.
Put Kepa in goal. Alonso left back instead of Chilwell. I wouldn't mind that. I know Werner's going to play from the left. I'm assuming. And I know this might sound mad, but I prefer that to Pulisic. Do you know what I mean? I prefer Ayling up against Werner than Pulisic, personally.
That's totally fair. Yeah. That's totally fair,
Ziyech, obviously, in great form. And I took note of what you said earlier on Twitter this morning about the fact that if Giroud doesn't start this game after scoring 4, a perfect hat-trick and a penalty, they weren't just gash goals, they were good goals. If he doesn't start on the weekend, what else more can he do? He must be thinking, I'm out of here in January. So I think there's a real possibility that he might start. And as you said on Twitter this morning, you made a fantastic point, is the fact that if Giroud starts, it's probably better for Leeds United. Yes, not from a balls into the box perspective and set pieces, but it's going to be interesting to see who he goes with, because obviously if Tammy's leading the line, then know that he's going to be doing a lot more pressing up against our back four and KP than what Giroud would, because he's not as mobile as Tammy. So that's an interesting point. Obviously, it's going to be interesting to see he might not even, but if Lampard adopts someone to press on KP, because we've seen with Everton, if given time and no sort of real focus, KP can dictate a game. KP was absolutely immense against Everton. That is probably his best game in a Leeds United shirt. The numbers told you that. He was absolutely fantastic. We gave him 10 in our player rating. So if Lampard doesn't adopt anything for him and just allows him on the ball, then we'll have a lot of joy. If we look at City did a good job on Calvin. That first 20, 25 minutes, he was pretty woeful. And that was due to the job that they did on him. Eventually, he got into the game. Obviously, we get a point. It's a great point. So it's going to be interesting from that standpoint. Be interesting to see how Kante gets on. And, more so how our lads get on against Kante. Really interested to see the wings. The fact that Chilwell and James like to get forward. if we can nick the ball, we can do them in transition. We know we like to overload on the wings. It's going to be some game, I think. I genuinely think, Oscar, we could have another Liverpool style in terms of scoreline. I don't know what you think. A lot of people have heard Chelsea are very pragmatic at the moment. Maybe they won't open up. I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are. But who are you? Who's it from a player perspective?
It's a tough one, really, mate. I think if Pulisic isn't starting this game, I'll be quite happy, mate. I think Pulisic is their player. They're kind of like Hazard's replacement to an extent. That player who can just produce a moment out of nothing. I think obviously all the other players are massive threats in their own kind of right. I think Abraham at the minute is in really good form. I think even more so than Werner, to be honest. I think obviously you said, I totally agree with you, to be honest. I think Werner will probably play off the left. Yeah, of course, Chelsea have kind of swapped it round throughout the season, but Werner, for kind of like the last 6 or 7 weeks, has kind of just kept that left wing spot. Obviously, Ziyech is full of creativity. We know Ziyech is one of those players on that left foot, can just ping balls into the box. And obviously, I think if Giroud starts, we've got to be super wary of that Ziyech cross into Giroud's head, because it's so dangerous in that sense. I think, to be fair, I think even Mount has been massively improved this season. I think he's really stepped it up, to be fair to him. But I think overall, the glue that holds this Chelsea team together is Kante. I think he's still at a top level. I think he's almost into his 30s now, but he's still, he's one of those players. What the thing with Kante is, I look at obviously Mateusz Klich. Mateusz Klich, fitness-wise, is levels above his opponents week in, week out. Going into this game, it's a different kind of test because Kante can stick with him for 90 minutes. We know this. Kante, we know that's when he was at Leicester. What was the stat? I think he have 20% of the world's covered by water, and the other 80% is covered by N'Golo Kante, I think it was. Something like that. But he's a machine, isn't he? He's a machine, and he just holds that Chelsea team together. I'd be absolutely buzzing. I don't think it'll happen, but if Thiago Silva's drops, I'd be absolutely buzzing with that as well, because I think Chelsea turn into a mess at the back when Thiago Silva's not there. But yeah, I think obviously another kind of slight worry for me is how good Mendy has been for Chelsea so far. In terms of, I think he's kept 5 clean sheets in 6 games, I think it is, in the league. And we know what we're like in kind of like the final third. We have missed a couple of chances last couple of games. I've had a few goalkeeping masterclasses. Obviously, Leno a couple of weeks ago. Mendy's well capable of that. So in terms of our finishing, it's got to be sharp. I still think we'll get chances in this game. We might not win the game. We might not get anything from the game. But one thing that I'm confident of is we're going to play through Chelsea quite a bit. I think the thing is, Chelsea, Tottenham, Newcastle, the games they've seen them play last couple of weeks, the opposition just sat back. And you sit back against Chelsea, you got Werner, Ziyech, Pulisic, Giroud, Abraham. They're going to produce a moment in 90 minutes that's going to break you down and win the game. You just can't play like that against Chelsea. For me, it's high risk playing a high line against Werner, because in a foot race, he's beating any of our players, if we're being honest. In the foot race, we're not keeping up with him. We've got to just got to take him out. If he's in on goal, just take him out, because that's the only thing you can kind of do. But yeah, I just think that they're a good team, to be fair, Chelsea. I'll give them that. I still think Lampard, I still don't think he's got the better of Bielsa yet.
Let's talk about Lampard, right? There's been a lot made of him, right? And rightly so, they're doing really well. But looking at the games, and Chelsea fans will disagree. I know they will. But they've beaten teams they should be beating. They're beating teams they're expected to beat. It's not down to Lampard's tactical nous. It's more down to the players and individuals that are on the pitch. That's just my opinion. Yeah, you've spent 200. Yeah, spent 200 plus million. You're going to win more than you're going to lose against opposition in this division. It's a fact. You've got some world class players. Yeah. However, when come up against decent opposition, has Lampard had the tactical nous to be able to unlock them games and get positive results? Got beat by Liverpool. Drew with Tottenham, drew with Man United. I mean, the way Solskjaer and Lampard shook hands at the end of that game, you think they'd both won. They were so excited to just not concede. Obviously, Chelsea were conceding goals for fun prior to that game. Southampton, a team of note, you would say, 3-3. So they're teams, really, for me, that have been decent opposition in the Premier League. No wins on the board. Yeah? So let's wait until Lampard's playing. It's just my opinion, but guys, and I'm not afraid to say it. My eyes are blinkered anyway. I'll never see the good in Lampard. It is what it is. I can't stand the man, and I don't like Chelsea anyway. We know this, right? Leeds fans, I have respect, all that sort of stuff, but it's just rivalry. Rivalries are rivalries. But it's the fact that he's in charge as well, and of course, there's that little bit of needle there because of what happened when we were in the Championship. So naturally, it carries over. I get it, right? But take a step back and actually look and see the teams when he's been up against opposition of note. He hasn't won any one of them games yet.
He hasn't scored. You know, they haven't actually. For 3 games you listed, Liverpool, Man United, Tottenham, he hasn't actually scored. And you look at the money spent on these forwards as well to not score or create even chances. It's not even like the missed chances. I think they missed a penalty against Liverpool, but other than that, mate, they've not really done that much in those games. And even last season, that was kind of the case. But what I will say about Lampard is a lot's been made of Chelsea's form at the minute. It's still only 3 wins, 3 draws from the last 6. 3 wins out of 6 games. They can go on about it's 15 unbeaten, but it's not really that considerable.
Totally different side last season, Tottenham. Totally different side. Totally different side.
I've got to be up. That's a nonsense argument because Tottenham were just not. I don't think Tottenham even had Kane in either game. I don't think. I might be wrong on that. I think certainly the game away from home, I don't think they had Kane. So look, Tottenham are a different team. I just look at it and say, really, are we getting that carried away with Chelsea? No, I don't fear Chelsea at all. I look at Liverpool and City. I still think they'll be above Chelsea come the end of the season. Yeah, fair enough. Yesterday, they battered Sevilla, but Sevilla haven't been great this season. I've watched them a couple of times in La Liga. They've not been particularly great.
Oscar-nosy Spanish football, believe me.
Yeah, I don't think they're great, if I'm being honest. I don't think they do much in the Premier League, put it that way. I don't really buy into it that much. I think it's very easy to win games with that front 4 they've got and the options they've got to rotate it with as well. So, no, I don't think Lampard can be praised as this tactical mastermind just yet, to be honest, or not really at all, if I'm being totally honest.
Do you know what, right? And I listened to All Stats and we earlier on, and they really... I really like them. They know a lot more about football than me. Yeah, this is the thing. I don't profess to be any sort of analyst or like that. I only say what I see. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I love Leeds United Football Club, and I'm privileged to have the opportunity to speak about them. Yeah, and people watch it, which is crazy. But that's just my opinion. I'm not professing to be any sort of tactical genius because I'm not. But it was great to hear them guys that know their stuff talk about Lampard, and they were saying basically last season they could score goals for fun, but also they would concede them. Yeah, they would go in front, ultimately crumble, and then concede goals. Yeah. This season, he's flipped it on its head. They're now very defensive, but aren't scoring a lot of goals. It takes Sevilla out of it. So it was quite funny because when the analyst or the guy that was speaking from a Chelsea perspective was saying how Lampard has now James and Chilwell playing very high, getting balls into the box from the fullbacks, Chilwell coming into the box on the left-hand side with James crossing. And it was quite funny because the All Stats aren't we said it's almost as if Lampard had said, right, who's playing good now? Liverpool, right? How do they play? Right, I'm going to try and adopt their style of play. Do you know what I mean? And it was quite interesting. Yeah. Now, of course, they're Leeds fans. Of course, they have their narrative. I get it. But it's quite interesting to see that. That's why I can't get away with Lampard doing any sort of tactical masterclass because we don't see it. We never seen it. We never seen it in the Championship. There's a lot of these Chelsea fans coming out and going 4-2 when it mattered. That was more due to Leeds' crumble. It was nothing to do. 10 men. Casilla, 2 shocking errors. Bamford wasn't great. And the weight of the occasion just did Leeds. They weren't experienced in that setting. Obviously, we know that experience got them through the following season. But in every other game, bar that 45 minutes, Bielsa out-tacticked Lampard like no tomorrow. I remember after Spygate, that game after, and we won. It was just beautiful, man. He absolutely schooled him. It was, for me, Lampard didn't have any, it was just he had good players at that level. you know, that he had on loan from top clubs. You know, Mount, Wilson, etc. And it was like, just go play. And that's the impression I get with his Chelsea side. They are great individual players. And naturally, if you put them 11 players up against lower opposition, 9 times out of 10, they're going to beat what's put in front of them. But when they come up against someone who's more tactically astute or a better opposition, they fail. And they might not fail, but they don't get positive results all the time like they do against lesser opposition. That's why I think at the weekend, Bielsa has it worked out for Lampard. But like Lampard likes to tell us, he does his analysis too. So let's see how they get on. I'm interested to see, Oscar, if he does anything about KP. Because if he doesn't, after seeing Everton and the way they stood off at KP and let him dictate the game, if Bielsa does not, if Lampard does nothing about that, then it will just further ram home my feelings of Lampard. And that is my rant over.
No, mate, is spot on, really. You know, obviously a lot was made of that playoff semi-final, but really you look at their performance in the final against Villa, a Villa team that was fully at it. It was 2-1, but they got battered, really. It was a 2-1 battering, really. I think they scored late on and almost made it a bit tighter than what it was, but it was a battering, if we're being honest. But, I look at that, mate, and I say, really, is there anything really to say that Lampard's anything other than average? I don't think there is. I think it's just average more than anything. I don't see anything spectacular about him, really. Nothing that really stands to mind. But what I do expect is I think it'll be probably Mason Mount sitting on Phillips. I'd expect that. I think Mount will probably be the most advanced player. But yeah, I think the way Lampard
Who wins that battle, mate? Who wins that battle?
I'd probably back Phillips at the minute. I'd back KP at the
Mason
minute.
Mount's about 2 stone wet through. That's
the thing. Can Mason Mount compete physically with Calvin Phillips for 90 minutes? I don't think he can. I think that's a bit of a mismatch, if I'm being honest. Might be Kovacic, but I still think the form KP's in at the minute, his increase in influence in the last 2 games, mate, unreal. Twice the number of passes, higher passing accuracy. He's spraying the ball all around the pitch. It's like the championship to him all over again, this. He's adapted to the league so quickly. He understands there's less time on the ball. He's passing the ball better. He's winning the ball back quicker. Everything about his performances has been better. Yeah, Chelsea are the top scorers in the league, but do they score the goals when it matters, is what I ask. Do they score the goals when it matters? Yeah, you might say this Leeds team defensively gives up a lot of chances. It does give up a lot of chances, not going to deny that. But Chelsea have been wasteful from time to time. In that Newcastle game, they missed some sitters, to be fair, when they could have really buried the game at 2-0. But, I just think we can create. I don't want to come across like I'm just Lampard bashing, because maybe I am. Maybe we both are. But there's plenty of reasons too. There's plenty of reasons.
Wrong with that. There's not wrong with that.
Well, it's just,
he's an entitled.
I can only say what I say.
He's an entitled, horrible, grassing, snitchy man. He's just. Oh, I can't get away with the guy anyway, right? The way that he said in the press conference that Leeds were on, the guy was found on his knees with secateurs and bolt cutters. That was a lie. Derby County, Derbyshire police came out and said it was a lie. He lied. He goes in his press conference giving it all. We do analysis too. The way he went on after the win, poor Bielsa stood on that touchline for a good while waiting to shake that man's hand. And he was too busy going on like a child, man. I get it.
In the semi-final.
I understand the players, right? I understand the players, but he should have a bit more about him. I don't see Klopp. I don't see Guardiola. Yes, they would celebrate, but not in the manner in which Lampard did for me. But I get it. He got a lot of stick from Leeds United fans, so maybe if I'm in his shoes, I would probably do the same. So maybe I'm, throwing stones, glass houses and all that sort of stuff. But just, I can only see it from my standpoint. Obviously, I take that personally because that's my football club and I love my football club. Let's not forget afterwards, the way they went on in the changing rooms, they smashed it up. By all accounts, they took a dump in there. He went, like you said, they won the semi-final and they went and spent, there was a picture tweeted out about how much Lampard had spent in the bar or wherever they were after, and there was a receipt shown and Lampard had bought it all. But all that was poor as well because you still had a final left to play, man. And you went and lost it and got trounced. So I think maybe it's a little bit naivety, but he is still young in his coaching career. But I even think following on from that, there's the spat with Klopp, the way he went on in the touchline. You know, who says that? A manager at this level has a bit more decorum for me, who don't turn around to Klopp and go, oh, you think you... It's like what you would say in a playground. Mate, you've only won one title and you think, do you know what I mean? Like, come on. So, are we Lampard bashing? Yes, we are. Do I care? No. If they beat Leeds United, will I be sore? Yes. But it is what it
doesn't
is.
prove anything, though. It doesn't prove anything. Does it, really?
They should be beating us. They should be beating us.
For me, it's still... Look, I think obviously the Lampard factor's there.
Yeah.
The Lampard, we can't ignore 18 months ago. We can't ignore that. I'm not going to ignore that. I'm not going to ignore that because there's nothing to... You can't ignore him just completely... I'm just being, I don't know. I'm not going to swear. Yeah, I've said I won't go swear. I was just about to then. I'm not going to swear. We don't want to lose the, what's his name on this one. But yeah, no, look. If you take Lampard out of it, this game is just purely a free hit. This is purely a free hit for Leeds United. There's no pressure on Leeds. I think, obviously, I'll just go to the press conference a second. Not live, but you know what I mean. On what Lampard said, on what Bielsa said in the situation. He said, this is like Bielsa on Spygate and kind of Lampard. He said, this shouldn't be repeated. This is an aspect which can be deemed as something that I learnt. He said, but he went on to say, my relationship with Lampard is not bad. So, you know, I think a lot of managers there, you know, we know Bielsa was never going to go in there and say, I'm going to prove Lampard's wrong. I'm going to ram it down his throat and that lot. He was never going to do that. But I think for me, Bielsa's just going to probably take that whole sting out of the game out of it in terms of in the team talk. I think for Bielsa, it's purely just focusing on beating Chelsea, forgetting about Lampard, just focusing on beating this Chelsea team. And that's the big thing for me. He's not going to get the players too wound up. I think Lampard, totally on the other side, he's going to be there saying, and I don't think the Chelsea players will get it. So, I don't think Werner will not understand why Lampard is so. And that, for me, that's all down to man management. Can Lampard get that level of performance from them?
Perfect, mate. Perfect. You are bang on the money, and I'll tell you a reason as for why, right? After Spygate happened, right? When Spygate happened and it was all coming out, we got a message at All Leeds TV by someone who knew someone at Derby who told us that it was Bielsa, right? Now, we chose not to tweet that out because at the time, it's like, surely Bielsa's not done that. Don't want to tweet it out because if you tweet it out and you're wrong, you get absolutely hammered on Twitter. It's the nature of the beast. So we chose not to tweet it out. I wish we would have, but we chose not to tweet it out. It then came out that Bielsa actually phoned Lampard. You know, this is what I'm saying, that Lampard had gone into the dressing room, told the lads it was Leeds, it was Bielsa. He's admitted it. Bielsa admitted it. You know, we know what happened with the press conference on that. He came out clean, he paid the fine, yeah? It could have been nicked in the bud, but Lampard didn't do that, yeah? And this is when you're saying about man management and stuff. He went out, he made a scene about it, made a big song and dance about it. Then what happened? They got battered 4-1. So you bang on the money because Bielsa dealt with it a totally different way, but there was too much emotion in that game from Lampard and his team. Whether or not he has the same, I don't know. Look, Jody Morris, Lampard, they'll be dying to beat this Leeds United side. Lampard will be having sleepless nights wanting to beat this Leeds United side. You know, he said before about, when he made his jibe in the press conference, you know, saying, there's always been a rivalry with Leeds anyway. Of course, I haven't played in too many games because they were in a totally different division and that. You know, he likes to have his little jibes. I don't know, as Chelsea fans, please tell us in the comments, has Lampard, has he done his press conference yet? Because it'd be interesting to see what's been said.
I was looking, but I don't think he has as of yet. I think it's tomorrow, but it'd be interesting what he's said about that. But, I mean, does it bother you at all going into this game that Chelsea have just come off the back of a 4-0 win? Does that bother you at all? Does that concern you at all, mate?
No, because they're doing well anyway. Like, it doesn't. Of course, it's a great result, but I believe he made changes anyway. Will a lot of them players play on Saturday? I'm not so sure. No, it doesn't faze me because, listen, the vitriol that gets thrown their way and stuff, Chelsea are a great side. They've got great individual players, and it wouldn't surprise me if they scored a few. And we could be on the end of a hiding. That's the facts of it, Oscar, because of the way we play. Yeah, we know that. We've been trounced by Crystal Palace, man. We were trounced by Leicester. Leeds fans accept that. Of course, we don't want to lose. And I'm hoping we won't, but, we have to contend with the fact the London record and all that sort of stuff. We haven't won down in London since 2017. Chelsea are a great side, individual, man for man. I don't think they would take any of our players, if we're being totally honest. Let's be honest. I don't think they would. If you look at their squad, maybe Koch, I don't know. But I'm just looking at man for man, even KP, they've got Kante, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they take anyone. So, of course.
I'm taking Click over Kovacic any day of the week.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Okay, but then if Havertz played you've got...
No.
No, but even... You get the point. You get the point I'm trying to make. I mean, their bench is... Probably their bench would get in our first 11.
Is it the best bench in Europe at the minute? It probably is, to be honest.
When you spend that kind of money, mate, what do you expect?
That's the thing. I'm not surprised Chelsea were the teams pushing for the 5 subs, mate, because they can make 5 subs who can change the game easily. And that's the thing. And I'm glad, just a quick, completely off the cuff, completely random. But what's your general feeling about that 5 sub thing that Klopp, Guardiola, Lampard are making out? Do you think it's just the big clubs trying to get that advantage back, do you think? Or I really don't buy into it all, to be honest, mate. I don't buy into this idea you have 5 subs, all of a sudden, if you've got 5 subs on the bench, all of a sudden there's going to be no muscle injuries, there's going to be no fatigue. It's absolute rubbish, mate.
It's BS, man. I don't know if anyone watched Monday Night Football. Probably not, because they were probably watching our Monday Night Football. But Gary Neville, I mean, I know he was amazing. Same. But he was spot on, man. He went through history and it showed you that. And let's not forget, people are not... When COVID, they had months off, 5 months or whatever it was. We had a long time off. It doesn't matter. And what will happen, even if it's brought in, once someone's given something, they never take it back. So for me, once that comes in, it's staying, Oscar. And that's no good for us, for any other team outside of that top 6. Because Chelsea, Liverpool, City, even Manchester United, etc., they have huge squads. It would mean they could buy even more players, buy even more youth potential that would fit into their 18-man squad. They probably have to increase the squad size so that you can have 5. Do you know what I mean? And I don't go along with it, mate.
Excuses for bad
power
recruitment,
play, isn't it?
It's bad. It's excuses for bad recruitment. Klopp's making the argument because Mane and Salah are a bit tired. He's not thought ahead that, hang on a second, the season's going to be a bit more intense this year because there's less time to play the games, because obviously we start in September rather than August. It's just, for me, it's just excuses for bad recruitment. I think Neville pretty much nailed it on the head, really. You know, the fact of the matter is they have 3, 4, 5 months off before they even went back into the football. They then played 4 weeks of quite a lot of games and then had another 6 weeks off. So I just don't buy into it, mate. I just don't buy into it. I think obviously the muscle injuries, etc., are part of it. But I mean, I've got to say, touch wood, and I am doing right now, Leeds haven't really had that so far. We've had a couple of injuries, but nothing really fatigue related. It's just been more impact injuries. That to me tells me that it's not just down to that. It's down to the training themselves. It's down to the managers themselves, making sure that they've got the right fitness programs. I just think it's an absolute load of rubbish, to be honest, mate. But yeah, let's go on to, obviously, a little bit more into the presser on Bielsa's side. We'll ignore Lampard now. We've spoken about Lampard. It's
going to be hard for me to stay away from it.
It's hard. But a few things from Bielsa in the press conference. Diego Llorente will definitely not start this game. He wants to play some under 23s games. Shaq's, Pablo Hernandez, probably not even in the 18. Adam Forshaw, bit of an update on Adam Forshaw, if you still knew he existed, is actually back and training. But again, as Bielsa's exact words were, he's not had much football practice in the last year or so. So he's going to have to play a load of under 23s games. So really, it's looking like the same 18. It might not be the same 11, but it looks like the same squad that's going to travel down to London. I mean, what would your lineup be, first of all, mate? Would you make any changes to the team going into this?
I think we'd all like Rodrigo to come in, wouldn't we? But I don't think he will. I think both games, Arsenal and Everton, Alioski's done really well. He's played the best games. I mean, he was great against City, but I think consecutively he's put in 2 great performances. And look, I think maybe it might be more suited to Alioski, Dallas, and Harrison, because at times, I know that sounds mad, but at times they were switching were Dallas and Alioski. And I think, if you think about that right-hand side of Ziyech and James liking to get forward, crossing balls into the box, I think it might be more beneficial to have Alioski, Dallas, and Harrison to cope with the threat coming from that right-hand side. So I don't think he'll change it. No, Oscar. I think we all want to see Rodrigo. I think we were all praying for Rodrigo from about 55 minutes on Saturday or whenever it was against Everton. Saturday, yeah. I think we were all praying for Rodrigo, but it's a great option to have on the bench. You've got Costa, you've got Rodrigo, you've got Paveda, who looks better and better every time he comes on.
I think Paveda's playing better than Costa, to be honest, at the minute. I think he's making a bigger impact. I think he's actually ahead of Costa in the pecking order. He seems to come on before Costa last few games, to be fair.
Yeah, he does, you're right.
It's interesting from that sense. But, I mean, these are the predicted lineups online. I can't remember the source, but this is what they're predicting is going to be the teams going into this one. Just going to drop the banner a second. So, I mean, looking at that, I mean, obviously this was before, I believe, the Sevilla game. So they've still got Abraham in there, centre forward, Ziyech, Werner playing around him. I mean, what would, if that was the teams, if that was the 2 teams going into this game, you've got Alioski left back, Dallas centre mid. What would you be expecting from the game if that was the 2 teams going into it? What would the key battle be for you looking at that?
So I think the key thing for me, Oscar, obviously, if the fullbacks are bombing on from Chelsea, Chilwell, James, etc., it does just leave, obviously, Thiago Silva and Zuma. And if we can nick the ball and in transition, when you've got Rafinha, if James is high up on the pitch, or Chilwell, high up on the pitch, then we can get joy down there and overload on that side. And of course, hopefully Bamford off Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva's a great centre-back, but he's not the most mobile. He's not the quickest. He's getting on, So I think we can get joy and we will create. Patrick Bamford has the most efforts on goal, on target. There's only Dominic Calvert-Lewin who's got more than him. Obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's leading the scoring charts, and maybe that's difference in quality. But it shows you that Leeds United do create. So we are going to get chances. That I am certain of. I never go into a game with Leeds United and think, we're not going to create any chances. It's going to be tough. We just have to be clinical. We all know Bielsa's record when going in front. If we go in front, I think we've only ever lost once, and that was against Wigan, and we know what happened there. We missed a penalty. It just derailed us. So that was just one of them games. But every other game, once we're in front, Bielsa's won. There's obvious, I know records are there to be broken, but it's that London hoodoo as well, isn't it? I guess my question, would just before you talk about the lineups and where you see us getting joy, would you take a point now if given it?
Yeah, I think I probably would. Because we beat Everton, because that's 4 points from 6, 6 away from home. And obviously the Arsenal draw, it puts us in a nice position that, if we get the draw, a point, if we get something in that game, because all of a sudden, next couple of games after that, Newcastle, West Ham at home, Scum, Scum are not in great shape at the minute, Scum, they really are not in great shape. I really fancy us in that one as well. And obviously going into the Christmas period. So all of a sudden, if we get someone in that game, you look at the season after that, and it kind of shapes differently then. You sort of look at it then and say, okay, we've then played Liverpool away, we've then played Arsenal, we've then played City, we've then played Chelsea. Okay, we've got Tottenham to play. But you pretty much played all kind of like the top. Leicester we've already played as well. You kind of played all the top 6, top 7 already then. And you kind of look at it from that point of view and say, okay, all of a sudden, we're going into games and I fancy us in most games after that point. The way we've been playing, if we play against, say, for example, Newcastle, like we did against Everton, we'd smash them. Them. Newcastle are not a great team, but if we play like that, you know what I mean, in that kind of sense. But yeah, I'd definitely take a point, to be honest, mate, because it stops them having any bragging rights. It's embarrassing for Lampard. It's embarrassing for Chelsea. It's good for us. It's massive confidence boost. And yeah, 1-1 and the good performance would do me, mate. You know, any kind of result would be fantastic. But yeah, you know, I still think we can win the game. I still think the game's there to be won for us. I think if Tottenham had gone for it more last Sunday, yeah, I know Tottenham have got Son Heung-min, Harry Kane, probably 2 of the top 5 players in the world at the minute. But if they'd have gone for it a bit more, they easily would have won that game for me. I think that game was there for the taking. I know Chelsea had a couple of chances, but that was just down to how negative Tottenham went into the game, really. Tottenham went for the point. They got the point quite easily in the end. Maybe Giroud had that chance late on. But yeah, I'd definitely take a point. I think the only thing I would say is that worries me slightly going to this game is 20 minutes to go. Chelsea just got so many options to change the game. Even if we're in control, you know, Pulisic can come on, Hudson-Odoi can come on. Yeah, the pace of those two, Giroud, Abraham, whoever starts, one of them will come on. And you've even got people like Havertz who can come on as well, and you can change the fullbacks. It can change everything, really, you know, and that's the options they have. But I have to agree with you on Thiago Silva. You know, I think the one thing Thiago Silva does have is a fantastic footballing brain, fantastic footballing ability, top-class defender still. But the one thing he doesn't want is to get into a foot race. You know, you've seen against Southampton, West Brom, you know, your team tried to isolate him. I still think that's what we can do. Get Rafinha playing up close to Bamford, Harrison playing off the left, Alioski all running behind as well. I think we can cause Chelsea problems in that sense. I think we'll test them in the way Southampton did, and I think we'll go with the same approach. And let's not forget, you know, Chelsea fans want us to forget about that Southampton game, but it wasn't that long ago, mate. It was only 6 weeks ago. You know, and really, on another day, Southampton would have won that game. You know, Chelsea had 3 shots, 3 goals. Southampton dominated large spells of that game. I remember watching it, to be fair. You know, it's a really interesting one. It's a really interesting one. I think, for me, the fact is, we gave Liverpool and Man City a game, and I think both teams are better than Chelsea. There's no reason why we can't do the same as Chelsea. I think as good as Werner, Pulisic, Giroud, etc. are, and I think they are very, very good, I still don't think they're kind of at De Bruyne, Mane, Salah kind of levels. You know, that Salah performance against us was what won Liverpool that game. I don't think, this could come back to bite me, and I'm not going to say they aren't bad players, but I don't think a Chelsea player would have produced a performance that Salah did in that sense. Could have carried the team on his own.
Definitely not.
I think they work well as a unit, but I don't think any individuals particularly stand out. I don't think any of Europe's elite, say Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Liverpool, Man City, will be looking at any Chelsea players right now and saying, okay, we'll put with £100 million bid in for him. I don't think any of those forward players have stood out on their own so far this season. I still think it's Kante who stands out the most and holds it all together. So yeah, if we do that man-to-man marking job well, I think we're going to get a bit of joy against them. I really do, to be honest, mate. But I have to agree with you. I think the fullbacks are key for Chelsea. Obviously, James has been superb. To be fair, since he's got the regular game time there. Possibly the best right back in the league so far this season. I think obviously Lamptey would still be the number one for me, or Luke Ayden probably, to be fair. I think Luke Ayden's got to be up there as well, how he started the season. But I think Chilwell on the other side, to be fair, you know, obviously he's been a really good signing for him. Obviously we'll have Locks on tomorrow. And Locks has always been quite had high praise for Chilwell, to be fair. So no real surprise to see him doing well. But yeah, no, I'd still think, you know, obviously that Leicester game is the one that makes you kind of worry and think Werner can kind of do what Vardy did, and he's got that ability to do that. But I think you've got to remember, we've got Calvin back. Oh, nice one, Joe Woodward as well. Absolutely top class. Top class. I just think we've learned so much from that Leicester game, that Palace game. How much better have we been at the back, mate? Yeah. How much better have we been at the back since Calvin's come back in? It's 2 clean sheets in 2 games, most clean sheets in the league. There's no reason why we can't, you know, and look, Robin Koch, I think someone said earlier on, knows Timo Werner's game very well. He knows Timo Werner very well from the national team. Rafinha knows Mendy very well from Rennes. Let's not forget, both moved from Rennes. So that's an interesting one. That'll be an interesting little rivalry. I think, obviously, Rafinha will be knowing where Mendy's weaknesses. Mendy might know Rafinha's weaknesses. But, you know, he's seen some nice little battles, to be fair. Now, what I like about the game is, I know it's going to be scrappy. It's going to be scrappy from time to time. There's going to be some big tackles going in. You know, you got Phillips going in. You got
That's what I want, though, Oscar.
It's going to be Thiago Silva, you know, Robin Koch. It's going to be a proper, I mean, it's going to be a real old school kind of game, you know, a bit of an old school game, you know, and I think the rivalry will be there. I think Lampard will obviously have them well up for it. I think Phillips, KP will know all about that rivalry. KP, I'm almost certain KP is going to get a booking on Saturday. In fact, I put more money on that. KP getting a booking on Mount or Havertz or someone like that, because that's what it's going to be all about. It's going to be not just about technical skill this game. It's going to be a real battle. It's going to be a bit like those Sheffield United games from the first season. I think we've not really seen a proper feisty kind of game under Bielsa since that for me. Not that I can think of anyway. I think this is going to be that as well. It's going to be really good. It's going to be really good. Anyway, mate, I've been rambling there a bit. I mean,
man, it's all right.
It's yeah. I mean, I've kind of rambled that much. I forgot what I was going to say.
You forgot what you were going to do. Let's have a chat about. And obviously, guys, we've got about 10 minutes left. Let's get some score predictions and see how the game goes. Obviously, I asked you, would you take a point? I think the fact that we're down there, obviously I want to win the game so much, but the one thing I don't want is just to be on the end of a hiding. Like I don't think I could deal with that, because
I don't think we will though.
I don't either. I don't.
I don't think it'll be more than the goal either way for either team. I don't think. I think obviously, we've seen before Lampard against Bielsa. Bielsa's absolutely smashed him 3 times, really.
Yeah.
I think because of the quality difference between this Chelsea team and that Derby team, and the fact that, obviously they've got far better players than what that Derby team is. I don't think we'll smash them, but I think we can win the game. But at the same time, I don't think they can smash us. I think Bielsa's got too much about him to allow that to happen, to be honest. But I can't. Chelsea might win the game, but I don't think it'll be like a 4-1, 5-1. Like the Leicester Palace. I can't see it developing into that, to be honest. I think we're too streetwise now. I think with Phillips in there, Click on top form, Rafinha in the team, Rodrigo on the bench. I just think we're so streetwise now. So much more streetwise than after that Palace game, to be honest.
So many 2-2 draws. Our good friend Rob L says it's going to be 3-0 Chelsea. There's so many draws in there. I think I'd take a point, definitely. Just don't want to lose.
It shows how far we've come. The last 2 games against Arsenal and Everton. The fact we've outplayed. I know Arsenal aren't great. I know Pulis aren't in great form either. But the fact we battered them, not just outplayed them, we battered them really. And we didn't quite get the results we deserved in either game. Everton, I thought we should have won by more. But that's how much the expectations have risen. Can you think of any other newly promoted club in their first season who would go to Chelsea and say, would I take a draw? It just wouldn't happen. That's the standards we've raised here, mate. And that's got to be the massive positive. The fact that we might not even consider a draw a fantastic result. That's how high the expectations are at the minute.
Yeah, big shout out to Teesside Whites, who I got the games with. Big up. So I definitely, man. That's the thing, isn't it? If you're looking at, obviously Fulham came up. I mean, Paddy Power paid out on bets, didn't they, after 3 games to say that they would be relegated, and they've now won a game. But Fulham, they're going to be hanging on with their skin of the teeth. West Brom, they won't. They stay up. Look at Leeds United. You bang on the money. We'll come up. People are full. I'm really surprised. Our good friend Claudio put in that it's 6-1 for Leeds to get a win. I'm really surprised it's that long. Them long odds, if I'm being totally honest.
That's an insult.
Yeah, I think so too. But I love this from Rick. London curse over. Hat-trick Bamford with 3 again. Rafinha to score a worldly. Do you think Bamford has a point to prove at Chelsea? Maybe
100%. I think Bamford's personality is he loves to prove people wrong. He loves a bit of this. And I think against Chelsea, obviously, he never got a chance at Chelsea. I do follow a couple of Chelsea fans on Twitter, and they've been battering Bamford since he got us kind of promoted and we got promoted, saying, he's League One quality, this and that. And I don't think he ever really got any respect at Chelsea. He got shipped out on loan time after time. I think 5 or 6 loans in that lot. He'll be desperate. He'll be desperate to prove himself in that game. And I think he'll fancy himself against Zuma, to be honest. I think Thiago Silva not being the most mobile, the fact he's going to get a bit of space to attack in, the fact, last couple of games, he's had decent, he's made some, I wouldn't say he's had big chances, but he's made good chances from good movement kind of thing. Header against Arsenal, how good was that header? And it just comes off the bar. It's beating Leno, all ends up. I think he was unfit. And I think the way he's playing this season, that's 2 misses there. he's not missing 3 in the row at the minute. I think if he gets a chance, we've seen it against Liverpool. We've seen it all season, really. When he's on it, he really is carrying this team at the minute. And not that we're not a great team, but he really is that talisman, that Villa performance, and thinking that, I feel it's set up for that for Bamford, really. I'm confident Bamford will score, to be honest, on Saturday. I'm pretty confident of that. If you're gonna push me from prediction, I know you haven't, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm gonna say 2-2. I'm gonna say 2-2. I think it's the kind of game where they might score first. We'll then really go into the ascendancy, I think, or go 2-1 up, and they might bring on some options off the bench and make it 2-2. And I just think it's going to be such an end-to-end Liverpool. I'm expecting a Liverpool kind of game. I said it a lot. I've cursed so many games. I've cursed the Everton game. I've cursed the Wolves game. I've said they're going to be games of the season. But this one, I mean it now, guys. I mean it. I do genuinely think this one can explode. Go on, mate. Give us your prediction.
Right, Chelsea fans, I've seen a lot come in. Chelsea gang. There's a few come in, and we're here for it, man. We're like other fans. If Leeds score first, we win the game. Yeah. We have to be clinical. It's frustrating that we're coming up against Mendy, obviously in great form. We've come off the back of 2 games, and there's a lot of people making the... I'm having some of that as well, Claudio. There's a lot of people making the point that we aren't really converting a lot of the chances. And I think there's a lot in the fact that we've come up against Pickford and Leno in great inspired form in them games. And Mendy's in that type of form as well. So it's going to be difficult. But we will create. Leeds United create the most. If you look at the most goals or created chances during games, Leeds United are in there all the time. So we will create. We have to be clinical. Bamford's doing great this season for me, not digging him out, but he's got second most goals on target. The only one beating him, I think, with 1 more on target is Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin's got almost double the amount of goals as Patrick. So there's the difference in quality. That's not a slight on Bamford. I'm just saying there's a difference in quality. But I do think we can win. If we score first, I'll be happy to say we win the game. All right, because we've only ever lost once from a winning position under Bielsa. But I'm just not sure.
Do you think, though, with the options there at the bench, in terms of the change it, I still think it's dangerous at 1-0 or 2-1.
Oh, 100%. I'm not saying we'll win the game 1-0. I don't think that's what it'll go like. I just think if we score when history tells us we'll win the game. But I'm going to go for 3-2 Leeds United. I'm like you in the fact that I do think it'll be a little bit like the Liverpool game. People have said no, maybe Lampard will sit deep and look to get on the counter, not press high. Maybe sitting deep's the wrong word, but not press high. Let us have a lot of the ball and wait for us to make mistakes, maybe. I'm not sure. But I think we'll create and I think we'll score. I do think we'll score. I'm going to go 3-2 Leeds United because I do think it'll be like the Liverpool one, but hopefully we'll be on the opposite end of that and we come out winners. And what a win it would be down at Stamford Bridge. I'd take anything. I'll take a point. If you could give me a point, I'd take a point, which I don't very rarely say. I just don't want to get beat. But I think we will create and we will score, and I'm just hopeful that we can win the game. What result it will be for Bielsa? Would it be nice to get one over Lampard? Would I be sat in my post match singing "Stop Crying, Frank Lampard"? Yes. If we win the game, make sure you're here for it.
That, mate.
Oh.
It'll be a lot more than that.
Oh, will it?
The goggles out. The goggles will be out. The shears. You'll be even buying.
Don't forget,
you'll be Googling like shears, just express delivery.
Wait, people forget about these, man. People forget. This is the extent we went to, or I went to. Yeah. So no, yeah. Here's what it is. Yeah.
That, mate, it's people are saying, like, obviously Bielsa's played it down, but it plays a part in the game. It's why it's going to be a more fierce game, this, because of that factor. And I think for us, we understand it. I think, I'm not trying to be, harsh and anything, but I don't think Timo Werner I've already said, Timo Werner, Havertz, Ziyech will understand. Why do they don't get it? I just don't think they'll get it. And that's I might sound a bit like Roy Keane now, and it's all about just making big tackles and all this lot. But for me, it's kind of going to be a bit like that game, you know. It is going to be probably, obviously, the Man United game, that will obviously be that like that. But this will probably be the closest, and it will be the closest we'll come all seasons, and that kind of really just, like a proper what we kind of pictured going back into the Premier League would be like, in terms of playing a rival. And I still think the 2,000 fans, I think that's more pressure on Chelsea. I think it's the fact that the expectation's high on Chelsea. If we start the game well, if we're pressing them high up the pitch, look at that Everton game. Imagine if Goodison Park was full when that first half, and we're having shot after shot. If we start like that, fans will start getting on the back. The players aren't used to it. A lot of new signings there. A lot of new signings will never have played in front of a crowd at Chelsea before. I mean, that Chelsea fans, I tell you what, they can turn on players like that. They can turn on the manager like that. It's the type of club Chelsea are. Chelsea are a sacking club. They're a very knee-jerk club in that sense. And that can happen again on Saturday. That crowd can turn very quickly. They can go to slating their own players. And the players will be able to hear it, If there's one fan there screaming at Mason Mount, screaming at Ziyech and that lot, they'll hear it, and that plays a part in the game. I don't think Leeds fans will turn on the players like that, and I think that does play a factor in it, to be honest.
Yeah. What you doing, man?
Exactly.
What you doing, man? Man, what are you, Lampard's son? You. I don't want to swear, but that's I can hear you. Get man off. Get man off. Yeah, I can hear you. I understand where you're coming from, Oscar. There you go. But we'll wait and see. I'm going for 3-2. Oscar's going for 2-2. Either way.
I always curse it, though. I mean, I said 2-2 on Saturday. We won 1-0. And I'll take that again. So I've just deliberately cursed it. Because whenever I predict us to win, we don't win. So there you go. I've cursed it on the goals. And we're going to curse it on that as well. And we're going to win the game.
Yeah, man. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's been a pleasure, as always. We've had quite a decent number tonight. Smash the like on the video before you go. Even you Chelsea fans, because let's be honest, you have had fun tonight in the chat. Let's be honest. So smash us a like. We'll see you tomorrow for Before the Whistle Blows, where we have me, Oscar, Corey, and Locks on, where we have a look at the Kieran, who's a Cockney. That was your accent, Kieran. He's a good friend, Kieran. I think it was. Anyway, we should just get Kieran on just to do the accent. So Before the Whistle Blows. Then on Saturday, we'll obviously have your lineup build-up, the game itself. We'll have player ratings. We'll see how we're feeling after the game. If we get beat, we're probably not going to do it the same night. However, if we trounce Chelsea, then believe me, we'll be up late doing it. We'll have post-matches out. We're going to try and get a Chelsea fan on as well. I've spoke to him today. We tried to sort it for yesterday, but obviously Chelsea played. Maybe pre-record it and put that out as well. Good man, Nine from Blue Lions TV. And then maybe opposition. It's just busy, man. We'll get it out. I know we promised the live every
day.
Night.
Someone's coming out. That's what we can promise you guys. Every day we'll get something out for you, and that's our pledge. Make sure you subscribe if you are new, because we've noticed that quite a lot of you are watching our videos at the minute, but almost half of you aren't subscribed. Subscribe. Just do it. Just do it. Like
it helps the team out.
Just do it.
It helps us out. Help us get to 20k. The more subscribers, the more likes we get, the more people we come in, and then you can have the chat. We put a lot of work into it, guys, without blowing his own trumpet. There's a lot of work goes on behind the scenes. We're here every night. I know we weren't here last night, but that was because Chelsea were playing. Otherwise, we'd have sorted something out. But yeah, just help us out, man. And we'll be here for you. I promise. And there's some exciting news for us coming in the next week as well, which we're going to be able to share with you at some point as well. Yeah,
there's some very exciting news, to be fair. Very, very exciting news. Yeah,
man. So, it's good, man. Keep it locked to All Leeds TV as per. And we'll see you in a bit. I'm going to end the broadcast now. So we're just going to do that awkward bit where we just talk for a little bit.